Heyo, Coach Yama here. Coach Yama, I have a passion to help you improve, and I specialize in macro game. And if you want coaching, all my coaching is free. All you have to do is DM me. My contact info. Or whatever the heck you call that. Right into the VOD review. So today, first console player though, by the way. But I'm honestly looking forward to it because even though I don't have any mechanics that I can suggest for a console, it will be purely game sense and macro because there is less micro in console that I can speak to about your aim and such. Okay. Yeah, let's go through this. So, first of all, we need to, I feel like respect the Doomfist a little, because we're losing space here. The way that I see this team fight going out is, if they don't make this happen, their Doomfist uses everything, and if you deny his value here, then their Doomfist uses everything, and then you guys can walk out for free and get all these angles, all these sweet, nice angles, and they have to back up the point, and then you get this high ground here, and while they're on point, and that's like really bad for them. So as long as this Doomfist does nothing here, then you will win. And beating into the Doomfist and shooting his shield, and also getting hit by that punch, small difference, but it'll make all the difference. A small thing, but it'll make all the difference. So as soon as he starts charging up his punch, instead of shooting him, run to the side and force him to overextend himself and force him to exert more energy or more of his kit to get the same value. And so here when he's blocking, and then also your Sigma kind of fed, but nonetheless, still work on the small things that you can control. Picking the FAR, okay. I think it's a bit different speaking in terms of console and PC. If this was like PC, then I would say don't pick the FAR against Sojourn, even if you have a Mercy, unless the map allows it. And this map is like, it doesn't really allow it. There's only one high ground, but let's see how you play this. Okay. I feel like you're making a big mistake by focusing that Doomfist only because you have a Tracer right here. I was thinking you should mark the Doomfist to help your Zen out, but you have a Tracer on your team and your time is better spent in the backline, shooting their Sojourn, shooting their Moore, shooting their other healer and their other DPS. So, see how you play into this, knowing that they have ultimates here. Watch ultimates is a bit hard to do, but after first fight, because if you hold tab, you can literally see the damage on the scoreboard. Honestly, I recommend memorizing the damage that it takes, damage and healing that it takes for players to get their ultimate. Then you would know exactly what they have here. If you knew that they had all their ults, and you would be playing far away. Okay, very nice. Because you are playing far away. Talk about some FAR mechanics here. Because I feel like you need to stay in the air, but like high up. I don't know if that makes sense or not, because I want you playing around vertical cover instead of just hovering out in the open, and it's all about like managing your risk on fire, because if they all look at you for some reason, then you're not going to have any place to get vertical cover. And although the argument is you can just take lower cover and like the horizontal lower cover, it puts your downtime completely like screwed, because then you have to use your shift to get back up into the air. And so you know, not necessarily in the fact that you'll die, so this is one of those examples where you were using vertical cover, but that your downtime is just so immensely bad that it's like nearly dying and the times that it adds up. It's like Sombra throwing their translocator all the way back in spawn. Like, you know what I mean? Very nice. I would say though, this was kind of a desperate fight where I don't think you were going to win that, so I don't like that ult, to be honest. Okay, swap into Ashe. You guys have a hog. kind of interesting, but honestly against the Doomfist, I'm not complaining too bad. It feeds into your team comp quite a bit, so. Whoa. You gotta address the Doomfist right next to you. I feel like you get lost here. I don't know what it is, but because like right here, I feel like you have a good like gauge on the team fight. You're still okay. You're shooting this Genji, and then you just kind of fucking Hyojut's stages of development. Forget that the Genji is there, and like tunnel vision on the soldier, where we need to have priorities of what's going on, and then the next threat comes in, and so properly assessing this threat would be there's a soldier that my Mercy just died to, and I know there's a Doomfist on me. So I need to like prevent myself from letting this Doomfist get value, and you're focusing too much on the soldier trying to get that kill. So prioritize your own life over, it's like the first rule of life saving, don't put yourself in danger for first response. Like, if you put yourself in danger, then there's just going to be two people needing saving. So even if you're trying to trade for that soldier, if you get the kill, it's probably not worth it because you're dead. And so that's just like gambling. And then you're like, oh, hopefully my teammates can clean out the fight. And of course that's viable in some scenarios, but in this scenario, that's way too much a risk because you're not like guaranteeing that kill, especially. That's a very far-fetched kill. Let's talk about hitting your dynamites on Ashe. That should be to normalize hitting dynamites. If you stand still and just throw it up and then move your crosshair a little bit down, usually you'll be able, at that length that is, you'll be able to consistently hit your dynamites. And your team gets forced out here. Okay, going into this fight, remember, don't shoot the Doomfist. The one thing that your team comp, especially in that last round and this round, has above the enemies is you guys have a much better potential to shoot them at a longer range and draw out the team fights. Now they're on Zen, so maybe not as much. But with the way this map is playing, or the way this map just is, since they have a Genji and a Doomfist, they're very limited to the amount of vertical or amount of space that they can traverse, like rotate. So if you guys are able to win at the long range and make sure that they don't brawl into you, you should be having a really nice time here. Okay, this is very nice. Watch your position. Despite what happened here. Better get digging, Bob. Okay, the audio. Need to be a bit more cognizant of the audio. What happened here? I feel like there's a lot of addressing threats in this video. Yeah, because there's a lot of like people around you that you just don't notice, and so no matter who you swap to, you're still going to have this problem. So it's not necessarily a hero dilemma or your aim or anything. It's literally just like addressing threats and being ignorant to the dangers around you. Very nice. Alright, let me see where you position in this next team fight. We have the setup phase. We know that they have Doom ult, and so I believe that you're going to try to hold them at choke. Okay, letting them out. That's not too bad. Focusing the Zen. Okay, one thing I want to, let's go over and look at this in third person to help you realize what's going on here. So the best option for you guys would be hold them at choke and then start counter rotating. The way I see this is if both of you have power bars, think of this like as stamina for like playing Wii Sports, the running thing, or like Mario stamina. I don't even, you know, like a platformer. So if you guys are at a full bar and they're at a full bar, you taken calculus before, this is like a direct analogy where you guys drain them way faster than they drain you if a certain set of variables line up. So one of those, their win conditions, let's look at their win condition, is brawling in. Because they have a Doomfist, Reaper, and Genji. And they use their Discord orb to brawl in. So the reason why, usually Zenyatta is spam, but the reason why is they can't use their Discord orb at range. Just the way it's made. And they're more enables them. But you guys have very much more range. You have these two. And I'm going to count these two in range because of their mobility. Because they can kite the enemies. But if you stay alive, your Mora enables your D.Va and your Tracer and then you just get pocketed by the Mercy. Then we can get those bars of energy here. Let's say you're both at 100. If you start whittling them down like right now, and then it costs you this much, and then when they come out of the chokehold, you walk away, so that costs you like this much in potential, but it costs them like this much, and then you walk away even further when they come out. That last one is going to cost you a little, but it's going to cost them a lot, and they're like almost halfway out of energy. And if in their next engage you use like 90%, they're going to be using even more. And so at the end of the day, just from not doing anything and positioning, you can see how in the end they have only this much energy left, where you guys have this much. That's the difference between like if you look at that in comparison now. And so the way that we accomplish this is we first start up here and hold the chokehold. And if they're going over here, that's fine. But at least start playing forward, so then you can get less damage fall off, more damage into their front line and pressure them from ever exiting. Of course, your diva is not necessarily playing in the best position, but if you're up here still, it's the same concept where the Doomfist has to gap close to get to you, and their DPS have to gap close. And if you're properly addressing threats, if a Genji dashes forward, or if a Reaper starts teleporting, or if you see the Doomfist gap closing, or like starting to charge a punch or jumping, you can start running away to over here, in which the exact same thing. They have to gap close to get closer to you, and you're still effective at range, and you're slowly whittling them down. But what I'm seeing here is that we let them in, and then not only do we let them in, but we don't apply any pressure to gain better tempo. So they're able to just like get onto point, and you guys lose your potential rather than active, because they have a very active team composition. You guys have a very potential-based team composition where you're really good off of high grounds and angles. So the more high grounds and angles you have, the more opportunities you'll have to shoot the enemies and whittle them down. But now that you lose your angles and opportunities here, it's like your team comp is just worse in the neutral, because they're explosive and they're already close, so they're able to use that explosiveness to their advantage. And so not denying to a certain extent is almost to the same level of enabling the enemies. It's kind of like an inefficiency if you think about it. I don't know how to word this properly, but you know, to a certain extent, if you're a Tracer player playing within the Reinhardt swing, you're enabling the Reinhardt by letting him swing. It's that kind of same thing where it's like if you just like step back further, you know, it's so much better, and it's just an efficiency that you can use against him. Very nice tracking here. I would say try to shoot the Moira when she's calling. Okay. I can get that pick there instead of a Reaper pick is fine. This team fight, I'm not going to talk too much about like space, and so much so before, because you kind of have to push through. So you were kind of AFK there for a second. But yeah, this is going to be inevitable that you guys are pushing through. All you gotta do is make sure that you manage your ultimates and you don't spend like 5 ults, you know, trying to push through chokehold and then not have anything for rolling on point. Okay. Yeah, so I think it's in the like nuanced small details here about positioning that mostly of what I want to go over. This is a bit hard for me. Let me try to get like 3 actionable points for you to actually take action on. The 1, 2, 3. 1 is positioning. I think positioning is very key. The high grounds, and think especially on Pharah, when you're offline, you're actually dead. It's like a binary switch. You're providing value or you're not providing value. You can actually be leeching value from your team if you're like feeding the enemy team somehow. But if you're not positioning around vertical cover, it's very hard for you to get back online. Same thing with your soldier. It's a different concept, but same positioning. Make sure that you're ready to kite the enemies. Use the angles to your advantage and play to your win conditions. I guess I'll also say win conditions because look at the enemy team comp and look at your team comp, and it'll become a bit more glaringly obvious what you need to accomplish, or like what your strong suits are and what your weak points are. If you're not thinking about it, it's more of a gamble. You're just going to be playing and you're just like going with the win rather than thinking, okay, we're good at this and we're bad at this. Let's stop feeding into what we're bad at and try to disable the enemy team from taking advantage of what we're bad at and start feeding into what we're good at. So in this team composition also, it's the same thing where you guys are really good at with angles and holding space and being able to rotate outwards and kite their abilities. They're still on the Doom Genji, so if they dive in and you guys survive, they have no more abilities. So you guys will be able to play really aggressive after they do their diving in. So it's important for you to trade your abilities wisely in the early to the beginning of the team fight, or the beginning of the mid fight and setup. And then as soon as you notice that they're out of kiting potential or threats, then you can go in and slowly apply pressure or be explosive depending on how much they use. And number 3 is threats. I noticed that a lot of times maybe there's sound cues that you aren't hearing, or there's like a tank player right next to you that you need to properly address. Of course, right now it's like, oh, well, they didn't kill me. But like if we go like 3 ranks higher, and if we're playing to improve, we might as well play like we're three ranks higher. You know, if I put Dante in this game, or if I put like the best controller player on this in your role, the only difference between you and them is literally just the decision making that they do. So why not just do the decision making that the better player does here, and which would be addressing threats even if they're not currently pertinent to you, which is like flanking DPS. You need to make sure that you're aware of them and walking away from them if they're trying to gap close. Like a Reaper, if he teleports next to you, walk away while he's teleporting. If it's a Doomfist next to you, try to get the high ground or walk away while he's initiating, and you completely deny his kit just by not feeding into it. So I think those 3 are the most important here. There's a bit more to cover it in terms of micro, but I don't know how to suggest how to go about that with controller.